and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Dr. Cornel West running has triggered a lot of the vote blue no matter who crowd. But, on yesterday's show, we talked about how corporate media was frightened and panicked. And you could see it in their eyes. They're afraid of a third-party candidate, a real legitimate third-party candidate that would challenge, the DNC. Now, whether or not the RNC views third parties as a threat, more or less, it's yet to be seen. But the Democratic Party has gone on the record numerous times by saying that third parties pose a threat because, oh no, it will help out the extremist Republicans. But let's be very clear here. If you choose to vote Green or the People's Party or a Libertarian, you're voting for that said candidate. You're not voting for a Republican. You, as an American, have a right to choose who you want to elect into office. Now, again, I'm in full support of third parties, but I also believe that maybe now more than ever, we should be looking into the fact of abolishing all political parties as the founding fathers wanted. Actually getting rid of the Electoral College, having true direct democracy in our republic. Now, again, money is speech and corporations are people. But maybe this time around, third parties can actually make an impact. And Dr. Cornel West's campaign shows that the establishment is afraid. So I want to get the thoughts of Ajamu Baraka. We've interviewed him before in the past, and I want to have all of you hear his commentary in regards towards Dr. Cornel West's campaign and what it means in this country. Let's play it for the people. And again, shout out to Compton J, who was able to at least get this 3-minute video up onto Twitter. Please follow him and follow RBN. They have done phenomenal work.
Well, I believe in expanding democracy, even though we have a bourgeois democracy in the U.S. The only way that one can help to develop the kind of pro-democratic movement that we need is to take advantage of what already exists. So, Cornel attempting to develop this party and running, I can't be opposed to that because I know the kinds of issues that he will in fact raise. He will raise the issues of peace. He will raise the issues related to the continued grinding poverty we have in this country. And so, his voice and the issues he will raise, I think, can be a positive contribution to the national discourse that we have to have. Some people criticize him for not running as a Democrat. And that seems to be, they don't understand Cornel's politics in terms of where he believes the country is and the complete capture of the Democratic Party by the neoliberal right finance capital. And so the only way, and we all see, we've been talking about the constrained spaces we have now for democratic discourse. So the only way you deal with that is to try to open it up so that we can try to expand it again a little bit and try to maintain it for as long as we can, because many of us believe, I believe, that the cutting edge of fascism in the U.S. is not just the Trumpians and those elements, as dangerous as they are. To me, the cutting edge of a particular kind of U.S. fascism is, in fact, the elements that control the Democratic Party.
Now, let's talk about the Democratic Party, all right? Since 2016, many of the vote blue no matter who sycophants, the Democratic establishment, corporate media, neoliberal think tanks, have been on a very, consistent path of ongoing censorship, trying to silence and remove third parties or dissenting voices, going after whistleblowers, and trying to browbeat everyone into supporting their system, their party. The Democratic Party has been nothing but hypocrites. I know what to expect from the Republican Party. I know what to expect from Republican lawmakers. But the Democratic Party has successfully put on this face, this mask, showing the people in this country that they supposedly care about a woman's right to choose, or student debt forgiveness, or Medicare for all, or a Green New Deal. And at the end of the day, what does the Democratic Party do? They say things that their voting base wants to hear, and then they vote for their corporate donors. their constituents that matter the most. No, not the voter, their corporate donors. And the Democratic Party has been ongoing in supporting big money, big oil, corporations, big pharma, etc. And not to mention, many Democratic lawmakers are now, again, screaming that we must continue on with this war in Ukraine. No peace talks. None of that. It's almost as if the Democratic Party is just a very well-covered, well-established organization to trick people into thinking that they care about social issues. This is the same Democratic Party that supposedly says that they care about the people and where they stand on issues, but the Democratic Party, especially during the primaries of the presidential election cycles, get to choose who the candidate gets to be behind closed doors. They've already admitted it. The DNC chooses who they want before the voter, gets to make the decision. You, the voter, don't matter in a Democratic primary. Plus, the Democratic primary has a thing called super delegates. Plus, the Democrats have all their presidential candidates sign a piece of paper and say, you must follow orders and support whoever the candidate will be. The establishment tells you that. Again, this is something that a lot of the vote blue, no matter who, K-Hive, Biden supporters, Hillary supporters, they'll never come to terms with until it's too late. Break away from the two-party system, folks.
Neoliberal elements that control the Democrat Party. They are the ones that are developing a particular kind of fascism that people don't even seem to be able to recognize. So I think having Cornel as part of that discourse, part of that conversation, I think will be helpful. I'm not going to endorse anybody yet. I mean, I want to see a vigorous sort of debate. I think the electoral process is one in which radicals can contest if you have no illusions about its limitations, because what we are trying to do is get access to the public. So, and to raise the level of visibility on certain issues, to raise and transform consciousness, leading to a more effective organization and opposition. So that's why, and so I have no illusions beyond. I have no faith beyond that in this limited thing that they call democracy in the United States. The politics in the U.S. is even more corrupt than I thought. That the Democrat Party is a gangster party, because they are the ones that led the fight against us. They then turned around and led the fight to undermine the Harry Hawkins campaign in 2020, including getting Hawkins thrown off the ballot in a few states. That these people are not committed to democracy at all, that they are moral hypocrites. And that basically, if you're not prepared to get into this thing and fight and have to get down in the mud with some of these folks, then don't even play with it, because these folks are mud fighters and they fight to win.
That's very true about the Democratic Party. But the thing is, all narratives do eventually break. Now, we played this video on RBN earlier on Monday, and I want to share it with all of you because you could see in their eyes that CNN and all of these corporate media sycophants are afraid. They're scared. They're panicking because they know that a third-party candidate can undermine the Democratic Party and, yes, the Republican Party.
And, Cornel West, the progressive scholar, Bernie Sanders supporter today, said he's going to mount a third-party run for president against Biden. I mean, these things can really disrupt a few percentage points here and there in the way this country's split. Wow. How big of a worry is this for Biden? Well, right now, they're monitoring it. And particularly in the short term for the Democratic primary, Robert F. Kennedy, they are trying to, make sure that the 20% doesn't grow, but they just don't know. They feel publicly pretty confident, frankly, privately pretty confident that he's not going to get to the point where there's going to be a real threat to Joe Biden in the primary. But the Cornel West development today is different because he says he is, as you mentioned, going to mount a third-party run. What that means is that in the general...
They're afraid. They're afraid. The media is afraid. Because this time around, I mean, let's face it, they can't really they're running out of their bag of tricks. Corporate media, like anything, if you really want to get down to business of what it really is, corporate media is a paper tiger. And this is CNN giving their analysis, but you know for a fact that they're afraid.
Election, he could siphon off Democratic votes from President Biden. And if you see the last two elections, 1,000 votes here, 1,000 votes there, that is determinative of who's in the White House.
Yeah, that is. And by the way, vote blue no matter who, K-Hive, liberals, diehard Democratic voters, however you want to call yourselves. Popular vote in the United States means jack. In a normal country, in a normal election, in a regular democracy, popular vote would mean something. But we here in the United States have something very special and antiquated. It's called the Electoral College. And before any of the vote blue, no matter who, people say, well, if the Libertarian and Green Party people were around 2016, Hillary would have won. No, she wouldn't have. She didn't win the key Electoral College states. Donald Trump did. Whoever wins the Electoral College becomes president. Popular vote means jack in this country. And I, for one, welcome seeing another vote blue, no matter who meltdown. I want to see it happen. And I think now more than ever, the People's Party, the Libertarian Party, and yes, if the Green Party can get its act together, they need to raise the ruckus. They need to challenge and fight against the Democratic Party and call out corporate media for its BS. We don't owe the Democratic Party and, yes, the Republican Party any of our support or our votes. The DNC and RNC, it's one big club, and you ain't in it. So I want to end this video segment on a happy note with an interview that was on Russell Brand's show. And I think now we might be able to see something that we haven't seen before in this country in quite some time. A real strong third-party movement that can shake the foundations of this political system that we have here and maybe wake people up. Check it out.
Dr. Cornel West, you have a very important announcement. We are honored that you've chosen our platform to make this announcement. Please tell us why you are here talking to us today.
Well, you know, my dear brother, that I have been fighting for truth and justice for 55 years, beginning when I was 15 years old there in the chocolate side of Sacramento, Shiloh Baptist Church, and working with the Black Panther Party. Never joined the party, was deeply, deeply committed to their fundamental concern for poor and working people. And now, 55 years later, I've decided to continue that fight for truth and justice by running for the president of the USA on the People's Party to ensure that we can reintroduce to America the best of itself. And the best of America is Martin Luther King Jr., Ella Baker, Fannie Lou Hamer, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, it's Edward Said, it's Grace Lee Boggs, it's Chief Joseph, it's Luisa Marino, all of these different peoples of different colors and genders and sexual orientations of James Baldwin and Audre Lorde doing what? Telling America the truth about itself, and the condition of truth is always to allow the suffering of precious poor and priceless working people to be heard. And yes, you're right, it is about love, because justice is what love looks like in public. But by love, what we're talking about is looking at the world through the lens of those Frantz Fanon called the wretched of the earth, of poor and working people, not just in America, in the American empire and this very fragile democratic experiment in the midst of that empire, but around the world. That was another reason why I wanted to be on your show. I wanted to be international. I wanted to be concerned about human beings, no matter where they are, no matter what color, no matter what gender, no matter what sexual orientation, no matter what national identity. And that's why we're calling for a paradigm shift, brother. We need a spiritual awakening and a moral reckoning in the face of institutionalized greed. That greed could be in Wall Street, it could be in Silicon Valley, it can be in the Pentagon. Greed at the top especially. And I believe, of course, we got greed inside of all of us, but I'm talking about institutionalized greed with predatory capitalist tendencies that tend to suck everything up for money and for profit.
Stay free.
So, what can we take away from this? If you're going to be supporting the People's Party, be it Dr. Cornel West or the Green Party, whoever their candidate will be, or the Libertarian Party, whoever their candidate will be, it is imperative for all third parties to do whatever they can to document their entire campaign and movement. And whatever state you're in, it is your goal and your initiative to get your party to be on the ballot. And dare I say it, going further, getting enough points to be recognized to be on the main stage. Now, of course, third-party candidates have never been on the debate stage in quite some time. There's a whole system put in place. What third-party candidates are going to need to do this election cycle is to go on all independent media, Libertarians, Greens, People's Party, etc. Your initiative, your goal is to get on all political parties, to get on all these online platforms. Let me correct myself again, to show up on online media. Now more than ever, they have to get their voices out there. Now, corporate media is going to do its smear tactics. Corporate media is going to do everything it can to control the narrative. But if we right now want to make a change, we have to challenge the two-party system. An independent movement needs to happen in this country.